Welcome to CEO Interviews, a production of AGORACOM in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives about recent important news and developments at their companies. With us today, I'm happy to have for the first time Grant Johnson. He's CEO and chairman of VGambling Inc. The company trades on the stock symbol GMBL on the OTCQB. That's important, fully reporting. And on the web, you can find them at VGambling.net. Now, for those of you who are new to the story, and I guarantee all of you are new to the story, let me give you my intro here. And I've had over 100 guests on national television shows. We've done thousands of online videos. So for those of you who watch, know I don't say this very often. So I'm going to say it here. There's no other way to say it. VGambling, to me, personally, represents one of the best potential mega winners I've seen in years on AGORACOM. We're going to discuss the details with Grant in a minute as to what's behind all that and why it makes such a bold statement. But let me set you up this way. You have three things that you have to understand going into this. One, eSports. Over 130 million people from around the world are tuning in to watch teams of video game players compete with each other. So just as you and I would tune in on Sunday to watch NFL teams play against each other, or Saturday night to watch hockey teams play against each other, it's going on in the video game world. Two, eSports wagering. Wagering on esports is projected to hit over 20 billion. I think it's about 23 billion by 2020. Again, just like you and I would be watching NFL football on Sunday and make some wagers on our teams, the same thing is happening in the esports world. And the third point is VGambling is the next generation online gambling company that's built for the purpose of facilitating as much of this wagering as possible. Now, more than just lip service, because everyone tries to make some pretty big claims out there. The company is fully licensed, compliant, and authorized to legally transact in esports wagering. And they've assembled a team of officers and board members with significant star power in the world of esports and online gambling. So here to talk more about it is Grant. Grant, welcome to the show.
Morning, George. Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
All right, Grant. I explained it a little bit in my intro, and I'm sure even people who are watching are still wrapping their minds around it because guys our age can't believe that this kind of thing is happening. But help viewers at home really wrap their mind around esports in layman's terms of what's going on out there.
Okay, well, effectively, esports, as you already put it, is professional video game play. These individuals who play these games are full-time engaged in the pursuit of playing these video games, and these are not just the type of games you play necessarily on your phone or on your home computer. These are very involved, heavily skill-based, complex video games. It's currently the growth rate is double-digit year over year, and I think the best way to explain it is the fastest emerging professional sport sector in the world. It's started out of Asia, it's expanded into Europe, and it's now starting to make some headway into it's making substantial headway in North America. In fact, some of the North American universities are currently offering scholarships to attract students to their universities who play esports.
Unbelievable. I mean, to guys our age, everyone watching at home, they must be shaking their heads right now and saying, also, all those years of making fun of these guys sitting around playing video games, and we've seen that kind of stereotype in movies and comedies and things like that. This is now turning into monster business. So give us an example too. It's not just online that this is happening. You've got some pretty spectacular real world tournaments that are taking place. Tell us a little bit what's happening in places like Madison Square Garden and I think the Volkswagen Arena in Germany, to give everyone an idea that it's not just online, but it's even happening in the real world.
Oh no, this is taking place. These tournaments have reached a size in attendance that they have to be held in what are traditionally major sporting venues: Staples Center, Madison Square Gardens, Mercedes-Benz Center, because the fan base is too huge to attend in small venues. They'll bring out 16, 18, 20,000 fans will pay to come in, sit down, and participate as spectators in these events, just like you would have at a professional sports event, a soccer event, a football game, etc. My first experience with it, frankly, was just over 2 years ago. I was invited to attend a World Championship for StarCraft. And probably like many of your viewers here, I didn't really know what to expect. And when I entered into the facility and I was in a throng of thousands of mostly 20-somethings, I would say I was definitely one of the older people in attendance.
Sure.
But it was, the energy level was unbelievable. There's music and lasers and the fans. It's not passive like you go to a baseball game or something. Now it's become very corporate and the fans are very sedate. At an eSport event, it's much more electric, kind of like a concert vibe. If I had to equate it to something that a lot of your viewers could relate to, I would go back to a 1980s WWF type of event where you get the big SmackDown. It's that type of energy.
And let me interject there. So everyone at home, I've got a headline here from Forbes. Okay, this is back in late 2015. Title is, and I'm reading this, so pardon me. The business of esports is on pace to explode. And here's just one of the quotes here, because you talked about corporate there, Grant. Quote: billions of dollars will soon be wagered on esports competitions. Brands, consultants, and investors are always looking for the next great opportunity, and esports appears to be an applicant for the role. So this isn't just you and I and a couple of people thinking that our particular space is great. This is Forbes, and it was from this Forbes article, so you can search on online, people, where they said that the wagering is going to hit 23 billion by 2020. So let's move towards that now and how you're going to participate in that. First of all, you're setting up in Antigua. Why Antigua?
The reason we were setting up in Antigua is it's a fully licensed jurisdiction. It's a gaming-friendly jurisdiction. It was one of the early adopters in the online gambling world. In fact, I believe they were the first sovereign nation to stake a claim to the online gambling world back in the late 90s. So it's a jurisdiction unlike, it's not as complicated as the States or Canada in terms of the ability to build and run tournaments and be a jurisdiction there.
And you've got a workforce, there too.
Well,
right? That's experience and all this. They're ready to work. That's
a huge factor. In fact, that's one of our strategic advantages, we feel. Back in 2004, Antigua was at zenith, and it probably had over 3,500 people employed in the online gaming industry, gambling industry. Currently, there's about 250 people employed in that industry in Antigua as the industry migrated over to the European nations as they wholeheartedly embraced the online gambling culture. What was left in the wake of that exit was 3,000 highly trained, experienced people in running the back end of a gambling operation. People with MBAs, people with 10, 15 years experience, that if I had to hire the same people in Isle of Man, Gibraltar, the UK, Malta, which are the big jurisdictions in Europe, you would be looking to be paying these people six-figure incomes. I'll be picking this experienced staff up for a third of that. It's just the local economics. And if you're online, where you're domiciled is, it's a white paper jurisdiction, it's a friendly government, and I have a huge resource to choose from, handpicked the top, the cream of the crop of the online gambling people.
All right, and on that note, we're talking about cream of the crop. Let's talk about the team you put together in terms of officers, directors of the company. There are two guys I want to focus in on because it's just going to tell everybody at home, really show the kind of team that's behind you, because it is important. In the investment world, we always say you got to bet on the jockey, not on the horse, especially in the small cap space. And what that means is who are the people behind it. And quite often small caps fail because just a bunch of guys get together thinking they can hit some kind of dream, but they really know nothing about the business. You've got two guys I want people at home to know about. The first is Alex Kim, and the second is Ken Silva. Give us each of their titles. Let's talk about Alex first. their titles and how significant and how big they are in the esports world.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's Alex Lim. Sorry, I think
Lim, I'm sorry, my bad.
That's okay. His full name is actually Chu Wong Lim, but we use Alex because that helps to westernize. It's common practice in Asian nations. Alex, he is the Secretary General of the IESF, which is the International Esport Federation. This is one of the governing bodies of esports. They have 50 member nations that are part of their network. What they're focused on doing is standardizing the esport industry. They're trying to bring in conduct of play, a ranking system for pros. They're also bringing in a negative database of people who are caught doing match fixing. Basically, they're going through the process that all of the major league professional sports have gone through when they want to become mainstream. You've got to bring in a set of guidelines, a set of rules, a set of standards. And the IESF is based in Seoul, Korea, which is really the epicenter of the esport world. It's where it all really comes down to. And they're one of the governing bodies. Alex is the Secretary General. One thing I find fascinating, I'm sure this will blow the minds of most of the people watching this or who will watch this, Alex has had several conversations with the IOC about the possibility of esports becoming an Olympic event.
Okay, let's not even go there because that's going to blow up. You got Greco-Roman wrestling that was already kicked out of the, taken out of the Olympics. So you got hardcore older guys like me who are going to say this is not a sport, but you know what? It is.
It's coming. It's entertainment. It's entertainment, and that's really what we've got to remember. The Olympics is now about entertainment. I mean, pistol shooting, is that a sport? Sailing. This
nobody's watching those. Let's face it, the Olympics needs to make money.
Not these numbers.
I don't watch pistol shooting. I don't watch the sailing stuff. But when 135 million people around the world and growing,
exactly.
How can you deny that? Yeah, it's coming. That's for sure. Tell us about Ken Silva. Tell us about Ken Silva and what he brings and what he brings to the team.
Yep, Ken Silva. Ken Silva is the founder and president of Esports Canada. Ken is a lifetime passionate fan of esports. He's been able to turn his passion into his business. Ken is also one of the key outside consultants who organizes some of the major tournaments. Last year, he was involved in the tournament out in California. I believe Dota 2 had a prize purse just shy of $14 million. I mean,
say that again. I haven't heard that before. We've never spoken about that. One tournament had a prize purse of $14 million.
Just shy of $14 million for one event. So the numbers are real. These are mainstream numbers. These are not just a bunch of kids getting together and playing for a couple $1,000s. These are seasoned professionals. They are becoming millionaires. This is a whole new vertical in terms of entertainment and sports.
And to put that kind of into perspective, I'm not big into horse racing, but I love watching Triple Crown. I watched Preakness the last weekend because that Canadian horse had a chance of winning the second leg. Anyways, point is, I was surprised when I saw total purse was $2.5 million. Maybe a little less than that. But I remember saying, wow, the Preakness, the total purse is, and I thought, all right, so now you're telling me one tournament in California, $14 million purse. So that puts it into perspective as to the amount of money that's flying into this space. Let's talk about the competitive landscape a little bit. They always say an industry isn't an industry until you have some competitors, because then it means people care about this. So you're not the only fish in the sea. What else is going on out there on the competition side?
Well, there's been quite a few companies that have got different business models that are approaching it. There's a few groups that have been around for a while. Major League Gaming was one of the first early adopters. They run a skill-based tournament style gaming program. Skills Gaming is very similar to Major League Gaming in that regard. There's other companies. Probably the newest one to come in is Unicorn.
And they had an investment from Mark Cuban, Ashton Kutcher. So you talk about some high-profile investors that are coming into this space too.
Yeah, I read an article recently, and I was trying to find it for this interview, George, that Unicorn claims over the last 18 months they've been able to attract millions. I think the number was between 5 and 7 million subscribers signed up to watch their service, and they're only offering partial opportunities. They don't even only have a gaming license, but it just speaks to the pent up demand. They are partnered with an Australian group, Tabcorp, so they are able to take wagering outside of the United States. But it just again speaks to the pent up demand here. There's other groups that are traditionally online casinos, Pinnacle, Bywin, 360, Betfair, that are offering some areas of esports to augment their sporting platforms. In fact, I read something in an article that came out this year that Bywin claims they had more bets on their esport championships than they had in the championship final for football.
That's oh, I don't know what to say to that anymore. So, by the way, you talk about. I want to ask you 2 quick questions before we end. You brought up the fact that people like Unicorn don't have a license yet. So, tell everybody at home where you stand in terms of compliance, licensing, software, really quickly, without in layman's terms, to make sure everyone understands at home that you've got all those bases covered right now.
Right. Okay. Well, from a compliance standpoint, we currently have a license from the Canada Gaming Commission just outside of Montreal, Canada. We have applied for a license with the Antiguan Gaming Commission, and we expect probably within the next few weeks, certainly before we launch our active wagering platform, to be accepted there. And as we roll forward into executing our business plan, we will add additional licenses in Europe, etc. From a compliance standpoint, really, we feel, outside of making sure that you're licensed to conduct gaming, we also have to create an environment where the gamer feels safe, that their money is safe when they bet with you. There are a lot of unlicensed sites out there.
Sure, of course.
And we felt that not only having a gaming license, but also being regulated by the exchange, the OTC markets, as well as the SEC, we felt that gave the players an additional level of comfort, that there's additional oversight, financial oversight. In terms of our platform, again, because I have a background in the online gaming world from way back in the 90s, one of the early entrants, I looked around at the models that really seemed to be game changers, and the one we saw in the casino and sports betting world was the bet exchange sites like Betfair, that they were not competing like a sports book against their players, a traditional sports book. You're betting against the house. So you're giving the house your money and then betting against the house as they hold your money. That seems counterintuitive, but it was acceptable because that's the way sports betting's always been. Betfair changed that several years ago, and they created a bet exchange environment where the bettors determine what bets they'd like to place, or what the odds they want to give. And it goes into the exchange, effectively goes into the exchange software until it's matched up with somebody who has a contrary opinion. The software matches these 2 people up, the funds are held, and of course the winners are paid. So we're adopting that for esports. The reason being, we felt that was a stronger model, just because we believe it's inherently better, but also because esports fans have a tendency to be highly technical. These are programmers, systems engineers, graphic designers. They're very astute at social media. So we wanted to give them an environment that was one where they're not competing when their money, not only is it being watched by the Gaming Commission, not only is it being watched by the SEC and the oversight of the OTC markets, we're winner agnostic. We want everybody to win.
You're just taking a rake. You're taking a rake at the end of the day.
That's right. Exactly.
For facilitate. And that's great from a business plan point of view, because investors at home don't have to worry about what happens if you have a bad weekend and you get wiped out. I mean, we all watch, these casino movies sometimes. You have the floor guys who are making sure that one whale doesn't take them, for millions of dollars. So you don't have worries, and more importantly, your investors don't need to have that worry, right?
Exactly. That we will never be offside.
All right, and let's finish with the investment side. So all of these companies are private, the pure plays. Okay, we're not talking about some of the casino guys who are making this a side business. But the pure plays are private. Why did you decide to go public, and what advantage is it for everybody else?
Well, two reasons really. Again, part of that was for the oversight, to give more confidence for the people who entrust us with their betting activity. We also feel strongly, because there is a pent-up demand in the industry, being a pure play, we felt that gave almost a cooperative opportunity for the players. They could actually own a part of the company where they like to bet. And so, frankly, whether they win or lose, one way or the other, they're going to be winning. Either they're winning on their events and they're making their money back, or if they've lost, the revenues of the company are up and their share price is enhanced. And we feel that just as there's a pent-up demand in the market for clearly wagering sites that are pure play, we feel there's a pent-up demand in the market for companies that will offer these fans an opportunity to own a piece of the company.
Yeah, I think that's and not just those people, even traditional investors at home. I got to tell you guys, VGambling presents that opportunity to be able to actually invest in this space from the ground floor. Because right now, unless you're Mark Cuban and a tier 1 VC or a highly accredited, highly accredited net worth investor, you're not going to get an opportunity to be able to get into these markets. So that's why let's end it there, where I said at the beginning of the show that this is one of the biggest mega potential opportunities I've seen the small cap space in years on AGORACOM. I don't say that lightly. The company has, and we can't talk about things, but the company has, as Grant has alluded to, they're going to be launching plans to launch the platform next 2-3 months. Things are going to be going on behind that, and I think we'll save those points for another day. But VGambling, got to put it on your watch list. Watch this company the next 3-4 months. Make it a part of your daily watch list, because you're going to want to see what's happening here. Grant, thanks so much for joining us. We expect to have you back quite often for the next 3-4 months, because we know things are going to be happening. So any last words until we sign off here with you?
Just that keep an eye on us. I think there are a lot of things I would like to say, but obviously this comes back to the public company side of things. I can't be too forward-looking in any statements I make, and I'm governed by what I can tell you. But I think anybody who follows us will be impressed, and I think anybody who invests in us will be quite pleased.
Yeah. And that's great. And hey, on top of it all, shareholders can head down to Antigua, hopefully one day, and come visit you at your headquarters there and be able to. That's an added bonus. But thanks thanks for joining us, Grant. I think it goes without saying that you wouldn't have someone like Grant Johnson on a show like this unless they're pretty confident with what the future's holding in terms of developments, and that's why they're here. And make sure you keep watching. So you've been watching Grant Johnson. He's CEO and chairman of VGambling. Again, the company stock symbol GMBL on the OTCQB, which, as you all know, to be on the QB, you got to be fully reporting, fully compliant, fully up to date. Not a problem there. You can find them online, VGambling.net. And as of this week, you can find them on AGORACOM, where we're hopefully going to start slowly amassing new shareholders, and you can be able to communicate with them and with the company and keep up with what's going on a daily basis. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a fantastic day. Put VGambling on your watch list. See you next time. All right.